Welcome to Bites of Change. Hello, everyone. My name is Ifeoma Garba. I'm the head of external relations with the WFP country office here in Zimbabwe. So what is Bites of Change? This is a podcast series, a platform for having conversations around food and nutrition security in Zimbabwe. It will be one that will bring together great minds from the public sector, the private sector, and also from our cooperating partners in the NGO world. The podcast series will be highlighting some of the key things we've done in Zimbabwe as a collective to improve food and nutrition security. That's one. And secondly, we'll also be looking at what are the amazing things that we have in Zimbabwe in terms of food. How do we cook this? How do we make this more nutritious? These are some of the conversations we'll be having. We'll take you back behind the scenes to see how lives have been changed and improved over the years. The WFP has been here for over 20 years. So what have we done? What do you know about us? What do you want to know about us? Write in as well. You can tell us, give us feedback on some of the things that you've seen on the series that I sincerely think you're going to have a great time or chambers. So tune in and expect to see you all soon. Hello and welcome to Bites of Change, a podcast where we explore partnerships, development, innovation, looking at how we are able to secure Zimbabwe's future in terms of food security. Today, we'll be discussing with the leadership team of WFP Zimbabwe. We have with us the management team. We also have the leaders from the different units within WFP Zimbabwe. And to have this conversation today, before we start, let me introduce you to the people that we have on the table. We'll start from you, Sibo.
Thank you, Ifeoma. Hello, I'm Sibongile Wailesi, Program Policy Officer for Social and Humanitarian Assistance. I'm happy to be here today.
Happy to see you as well, and thank you for wearing the WFP Zimbabwe fabric. Just in case you can't see it, and it's really intricate in terms of the design. We'll talk about this a bit more later on. And then we'll go over to you, Chika.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chika Ohashi. I'm leading a team of resilience and food systems at WFP Zimbabwe. Thank you for inviting me here.
Great to have you as well, Chika. And then Billy?
Hi, Ifeoma. Thank you so much. My name is Billy Mwinga. I'm the Deputy Country Director of WFP Zimbabwe.
Okay, and the only man on the table today, but good to have you. Okay, Barbara?
Hi, Ifeoma. My name is Barbara Tulu Clements. I'm the Country Director for the World Food Program in Zimbabwe. Happy to be here with you all.
Great to see you as well, and great to have you here. Like I said, today is going to be about what we have done in terms of our country's strategic plan. As you know, every 4 years in WFP, we have these plans that help us to position ourselves on how we're going to be able to move forward and how we're going to operationalize or implement things in different countries. I know that the country strategic plan for this year and the next 4 years is a bit different. So do you want to take us through the journey, Barbara? How did we get to where we are now? What was the thinking? What was the vision around our country strategic plan? And what are the pillars of the new country strategic plan?
Thank you, Ifeoma, for that question. Our journey and how we got here is very much shaped by the geopolitical issues that our industry of humanitarian and development assistance finds itself in. The U.S. is our major donor of WFP. With the elimination of USAID, much of the way in which we implement our programs have to change. While the U.S. has been quite vocal in their call for change, I think all other donors are saying the same things, but quite quietly. And we can see that in our ability to mobilize resources as we had done in the past. So that informs greatly what our strategy would be, and also what the government want. We can talk about what the government aspirations are in Zimbabwe, but it's really globally in other countries that have contexts like Zimbabwe. The government wants to see a more inclusive program that aligns with their development assistance plans in their country, and they want to see us layering development into our humanitarian assistance. And then against that backdrop, our current country strategic plan has undergone a evaluation. So many of the findings of that evaluation informs how we have designed our country strategic plan. And the other element of that is what we're doing as one UN under the UN Common Framework in Zimbabwe. It aligns with the NDS2 of the government and also then aligns with the UN 80 and the humanitarian reset that many of the donors are promoting. Having said that, we're contemplating 3 pillars under our country strategic plan, and it'll run from 2027 to the end of 2030. And those 3 pillars begin and end with what many of you know WFP to do: emergency preparedness and response. That's our pillar 1 of our new country strategic plan. And then pillar 2 is our food systems resilience. The third pillar is our service delivery, and it enshrines and encapsulates many of the services that WFP has performed for other UN agencies and indeed even the government. What is a key takeaway that's different from what we were doing before and doing now, contemplating doing now in our next country strategic plan is that no more are we undertaking siloed and fragmented initiatives. So you will see a huge move from these individual initiatives to more systems-driven initiatives. And likewise, we will be moving from targeted vulnerabilities where we're looking at pockets of vulnerabilities, but instead designing systems around the entire population of Zimbabwe. A perfect example of that is when we are contemplating providing emergency assistance. We're looking at, of course, people who are affected in emergency, but a huge part of what we're designing is the systems that would allow the government to effectively respond, and in responding, they have done preparedness. And that is contemplating the entire population of Zimbabwe. How can they respond effectively? One of the key initiatives under that pillar is our humanitarian staging area, what we're doing in anticipatory action in terms of climate insurance. Under SO2, what are we doing in terms of getting Zimbabwe back to being a food hub and a procurement hub and the breadbasket of Southern Africa? And to do that, we must focus on the agricultural ecosystem and how do we build that and concentrate on the components or the dimensions of food security, which are availability, accessibility, utilization, and of course, stability. Stability is the key anchor because at the end of the day, it will drive the impact that we hope to have. And lastly, in our service delivery pillar, we seek to provide services that would make the UN collectively and also individually more efficient rather than replicating processes and replicating departments within each of the UN agencies. We hope to provide services that can be leaned on by all UN agencies to reduce costs and also increase our efficiency in Zimbabwe. And not just service to UN agencies, but also to NGOs as well as the government.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara. Thanks for the big picture and the vision that we have in terms of our country strategic plan. Billy, while she was talking, I was just thinking, you're the one in charge of operations. You're the one that will make this happen, right? The big picture has been painted by Barbara. So now tell me, for the strategic objectives that she's mentioned on crisis response, which is pillar 1, and pillar 2 on resilience, which is what we're calling our food transformation block right now, and also on the on-demand services for pillar 3, how are we going to operationalize this as WFP within the new context that we're living in now?
Okay. No, thank you, Ifeoma, for that question. And Barbara, thank you. You've really laid it down in terms of what we are looking at going forward. But before I go into the operationalization of that vision, I think it's nice to take a step back and really look at ourselves as WFP in terms of where we're coming from.
Yes, that's a good idea.
Let's do that. Now, this is 2026, the current year. What has been our main activity as WFP? It's been the lean season assistance. And the lean season assistance, as we know it and as we have known it, it's only been for 3 months, maximum 4 months.
True.
And that has been our bread and butter as WFP Zimbabwe over the past couple of years. What have we been addressing during this period? Basically two issues. One, climate shocks. And the second is economic shocks. That's what we've really been addressing. And we have been talking about food insecurity and vulnerability. What does that mean in terms of our scale? Basically, very localized, very small, inward focusing, basically looking at WFP and what WFP can do. Basically, us being the jack of all trades. Very limited partnerships. That's what we've been doing. That's where we are. That's where we're coming from. But where do we want to go with the vision that Barbara has just described? I think the most important thing is how do we make ourselves as WFP available to work with others? How do we invite others to be part of that vision? Meaning that to operationalize our vision, partnerships are very, very, very important. Very, very critical. That's why we're bringing in FAO, we're bringing in IFAD, we're bringing in UNESCO, you're bringing in UNICEF, amongst others. But most importantly, the private sector and local for that matter. Because for us to be transformative, we have to start with what we have locally. How do we localize our operations so that the impact is visible, is immediate? So that's how we want. That's how we are the direction that we have to go as WFP Zimbabwe, and it's very key. Now, this vision, I outlined 4 key areas that we really need to look at as we move forward. As I mentioned, partnerships, very, very key. Second element is scale. We need to be transformative in our thinking because, as Barbara said, the environment is different. We can't be talking of the past. What we used to do in the past, I don't think is relevant anymore. We have to think big. How do we implement activities so that we see impact and there's transformational change in the lives of the people at scale? That's what we should be talking about, and that's what we are going towards. And I think the third element is resilience of the systems that we are putting in place, and the people for that matter. So these 3 ingredients for me, they're very key for us to really to operationalize our vision going forward.
So just a quick summary of what you've said. You're talking about scalability. You're talking about it being sustainable. You're talking about us working with other actors as well, be it in the private sector, public sector, and also with NGOs, for instance, as well, right?
Exactly.
And also, go ahead.
Yes. One most important element, Barbara mentioned, alignment to government.
Alignment with government.
And even going beyond alignment, in my opinion, ownership and leadership of government is very key.
So they have to be in the driving seat.
They have to be.
That's it. They have to lead, and we have to be able to support them with the architecture that we're putting in place and the structures that we want to work on now. Okay, thanks, Billy. I know that we've had a lot of conversations, even in the office, back and forth, people trying to understand what our vision is, where we're going. Some people still struggling to understand what that is. Because for WFP, as Barbara always says, we're doers, right? You get your marching orders, you go do your thing. You take your food, you deliver it. But now, the context that we live in, and like you've said, we have to do things that are sustainable and things that make impact at scale. We can't have, as I'm going to use another word that is used by someone in the office. I'm not going to look at the person now. It's called nini, 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 nini. We don't want to do nini, nini things anymore. We want to do things at scale and things that have impact, working with the partners that you've talked about. So go on that note, Sibo, I know we had a conversation recently and you brought about, you said some points on how you think the government wants us to also move in the direction they want us to move in. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Okay, yeah, sure. The general direction that government wants us to take is for WFP to build on the work that they've already done. So reflecting on what we have done to date, there are some key lessons which really shine through from various elements of our work. To start with, the importance of preparedness. As WFP, we pride ourselves on a strong delivery culture, and it's underpinned by building systems which enable flexibility and adaptability. Gen Z kids will tell you, you need to stay ready so you don't need to get ready. And that's our point of departure as WFP. To this end, we've supported the government in coming up with guidance documents for various programs of social assistance. We are in the process of helping them establish social registries to enable rapid scale-up. And riding and leveraging on our expertise in the logistics sector, we are well poised to support the government in establishing themselves as a logistic powerhouse, as a logistical hub in the Southern African region. Secondly, chasing resilience over relief any day. This is key because, like Billy said, the government is ready. This is evidenced by the move to repeal the Social Welfare Act and replace it with the National Social Development Bill. This demonstrates that willingness, that local ownership that Billy referred to, for government to take up all these activities which WFP has been leading on. The communities themselves, the people we serve, are ready. Through the various feedback mechanisms that we have, we've received feedback to say, please help us increase own production. This signals that short-term assistance is unable to sustain communities. So what we need are systems and structures that help communities to build and bounce back better. What communities need are systems that help them to absorb, adapt to climatic variability, and transform in the face of shocks and stresses. I cannot overemphasize the issue of partnerships, which Billy has highlighted. Operating at scale in back-to-back emergencies has pushed us, it has driven us to collaborate more closely, not only with government, but also with UN agencies and other development actors. We proudly initiated the interagency collaboration initiative, which has been highly successful, whereby WFP acted as an enabler, as a bridge builder, by holding hands with other UN agencies so that we would jointly monitor, target, and all of this has enhanced effectiveness and has helped us also to align more closely what WFP does with national social protection systems. So these are some of the lessons upon which we seek to build on in the new CSP.
Oh, thanks for those insights, Sibo. And you've also touched on a lot of the things that Billy mentioned on making sure we're ready, working with other people, resilience being key, sustainability being key. And that brings me to you, Chika. How has resilience programming and how we do it now, how is that going to change in the new country strategic plan? Are we still going to be doing things the same way? How are we going to be able to make these things work at scale?
Thank you, Ifeoma. I'm so happy to respond to this question. I think, like Billy, I would also like to reflect, some of the lessons that we have learned under the current country strategic plan. I think as what Billy was really unpacking, that I think there has been a certain achievement of like creating a foundation of co-creating with the government, especially because like what you said, Barbara, that we used to be so familiar with implementing our own way of programs in the country. And it was slowly shifting across the years, But I think the thing is, now the current environment is so rapidly changing, and the way we are doing our business now is no longer applicable. Like what Billy was mentioning about the partnership. I think we are all very good at doing our own individual things, no? But it's often be very scattered. So what we need to do is really have to do things at scale that attracts attentions, attracts investment, attracts so many different things. How are we going to do so? Like what Billy was saying, at scale. Just yesterday, I was having this lunch meeting with the private sector. It's one of the quite big ones in this region. And actually, he got quite excited about our upcoming resilience program, that we would like to implement under the next country strategic plan because of the scalability of what we are going to do. Because under that building block programs, we could make sure that we can actually assure quantity and quality of produce, Of course, under the leadership of the government and with the pooled technical and resources together with, among other UN agencies. One thing that I think maybe I would like to also mention is the replicability of our model, because often we see at different agroecological regions across the country, and often there are areas that are very disaster prone. It could be droughts, it could be floods. And while there are other areas that are very productive, but that building block model would not discriminate. There are always things that could work for those more humanitarian kind of beneficiaries versus the productive lands. So the model could fit for all the context. Yeah. Of course, we need to be a bit flexible as to how we are going to accommodate different type of context. But building block would be could be one that promote, like what Barbara says, 4 pillars of food security, So I'm quite happy that we are actually shifting from what we do to the future.
Okay.
Thank you.
You spoke about the 4 dimensions of food security. You've mentioned building blocks, and I'm sure everybody's wondering what that is. So let me give Barbara a few minutes to tell us about that. And then,
I might be stealing your thunder in saying this, but I think one of the things that's key, if I were to condense everything that's people have said and along the lines of what we were doing, what we are going to be doing, I think what we were doing was doing.
Yes.
And what we are going to be doing is we are going to be playing a convening role in bringing many people under this tent that we have designed in our new country strategic plan, where we lean heavily on the comparative advantages of all others, leaning on their mandate and not replicating to create impact. And when Chika and Billy and Sibo talks about the building blocks, the government, particularly the Ministry of Agriculture, has a project called the Village Business Units, where they are allocating small plots of land to smallholder farmers. What we have done is looked at that, because part of our role in Zimbabwe and any other context is to look at the policies that the government may have If there are gaps, we try to fill. If there are overlaps, we try to eliminate. And one of the things that we've looked at in WFP, in our current country strategic plan, working with village business units and the government and other UN agencies, we see that a gap along that line is the introduction of the anchor farm. Years ago, you recall, I think, Billy, you were a P4P, a Purchase for Progress manager in WFP. We came under a lot of attention for disincentivizing smallholder farmers, and why can't WFP serve as an uptaker for their produce? We tried that, and one of the key lessons learned was that the scale at which we were uptaking, we were procuring from farmers, was of such that it was very inefficient to do that bilaterally with someone who owned 1 hectare of land or half a hectare. So we soon learned that we had to put mechanisms in place for aggregation. So along those lines of village business units, we contemplate that we will have an anchor farm. And that anchor farm will have their sole purpose will be to increase their yield at minimum cost. And their ability to increase their yield with not adding additional land is for them to be anchored around ecosystems of village business units along the same value chain. So they can serve as the aggregation point where uptake can begin either by WFP or by demand partners. That part of the role that WFP seeks to play in terms of procurement and with the private sector is looking at the ecosystem that partnership between the village business units and also the anchor farm will have investments. Invest in that, buy your raw materials from that, add value, where production facilities and an entire agricultural value chain along those 4 dimensions of availability, accessibility, utilization, and stability. And the stability component comes in with the financing companies to provide inputs to feed that ecosystem. And when we speak of private sector, I think this is a key takeaway, is that we are no longer speaking of private sector or speaking to private sector along the lines of corporate social responsibility. We're speaking to them along the lines of Zimbabwe is a sure bet. It has human capital, it has the resources, and it's a great investment opportunity. So and I think that's speaking from a position of strength and not of need.
Correct.
For scalability.
Yeah. Thanks, Barbara. And we'll be right back, everyone. Stay tuned. You're still watching Bites of Change.
You're watching and listening to Bites of Change, a WFP Zimbabwe podcast series, which takes us across the land, communities, to villages, to districts, and also to our township areas as well. Keep watching Bites of Change, Zimbabwe.
Hi, my name is Thompson Piri from the World Food Programme in Southern Africa. Today I'm in Gweru in my country of Zimbabwe, where I've just met youths such as Tatenda, who is working on a vehicle today, whom we have helped to support. Armed with a certificate in vehicle body repairs, Tatenda, like many youths, was unable to find a job. He lacked the necessary capital, and the World Food Programme came in, helped him to buy the equipment, and today runs this successful enterprise in Gweru. Tatenda is now helping other youths who are coming here for apprenticeship, for skills transfer. But I tell you what, the projects that have helped Tatenda are at risk. WFP no longer has the needed money to to be able to train more youth. We are appealing to you for assistance. We need that assistance, and we need it now.
Welcome back to Bites of Change. I'm still talking to the management team of WFP Zimbabwe. I'm still here with Sibo, Chika, Billy, and Barbara. Before we went on break, Barbara was talking about our private sector partnerships. Our segment now is going to be focusing on partnerships, innovation, how we're going to be working with other people. So, Billy, I'll start with you because I know you have this fantastic analogy you like to use all the time. So let's hear from you, Billy. What is it in terms of partnerships? How are we going to do this? How is it going to work for us in WFP Zimbabwe?
Thank you, Fioma. Barbara mentioned that I was one of the P4P coordinators at
That's
some
Partnership
point.
for Progress, for those of you who don't know what P4P is.
And really, the gist of P4P was how to build and develop and grow around partnerships. We knew very well that we needed FAO. We knew very well that we needed IFAD. And we knew very well that for the three agencies to operate, we needed government. For me, that was the first time, in real sense, within WFP, where I had to think like that and interact with those three agencies, and working as a team. And as much as we did not achieve the outcome that we were expecting, but there were a lot of lessons learned. And I think those lessons that we learned helped build certain processes within WFP and even the way we work as WFP. And the emphasis of ensuring that the Rome-based agencies work together. Now, fast forward to 2026 and our vision going forward. Again, I think thanks to the vision of the country office management, now we're thinking...
Which is two of them, by the way.
So, we are bringing that. For me, this is, partnerships reloaded,
Yes.
Because
Partnerships 2.0.
Exactly. Because it's very, very clear that the way forward for WFP Zimbabwe is to ensure that you work together with others who bring comparative advantage to the table. As I said earlier on, WFP alone cannot do everything. We can't.
No, we can't.
So we need FAO to ensure that, there's production going on. The yields are getting better. We need IFAD to make sure that the small scale farmer there, if they need financing, they have the financing. WFP cannot do that. Correct. We need UNESCO to make sure that where we are implementing our building blocks program, the ecosystem, the natural resource system is good. We can't do that. UNESCO can do that. So we need all these players. We need the private sector with their investment mentality, as Barbara has indicated, to bring in their resources. Because at the end of the day, the private sector will come to you if they will make money. Because they're not a humanitarian organization.
It's about the bottom line. It's about investment.
It's the bottom line. They're profit oriented. So we bring that platform so that all the different elements work together. Because at the end of the day, we want to see sustainability.
Correct.
Now, my knowledge, when I was young.
Yeah, I was waiting for that.
When I was young.
I really was.
I'm a village boy, as I've been telling you.
Okay.
I'm a village boy. I grew up in a village looking after cattle, enjoying my time. But one of those moments you'd sit up on an anthill and you are seeing, ants moving up and down. And one thing that struck me was the way the ants work to achieve a particular outcome. You would see a group of ants rolling a big thing up the anthill to fix something in the anthill inside. But, at the end of the day, it's not one ant moving that.
That's a whole group of
A
ants.
whole group of them. And each of them knew exactly what to do. Whether to be on the left of that log or the right of that log, or pushing the friend or whatever. They knew exactly where to be. And for me, I think that's where we are going. And that's how I look at partnerships. Each entity has a role to play. And collectively, we achieve the goal. I think that's where we are going as WFP Zimbabwe.
Yeah, that's where we're going. We all have to work together. So we can't be just one ant carrying a block, or we're going to be crushed, right? And knowing your roles and responsibilities as well. So we have to look at internal partnerships as well, right? Not just partnerships on the outside, but working together in unison together and making sure that we are clear on what our visions are and what our vision is and what our roles and responsibilities as people, not just on this table, but as WFP as a whole in Zimbabwe, know how we're going to drive this focus. With that said, Barbara, I'm going to come back to you again before I go to Sibo and Chika, but please do feel free to chime in at any point. Let's talk about our private sector engagement. You had started talking about this in the last segment, and I know we have a strategy on how we want to work around this. I know that we have a vision, as Billy has rightfully said, which is being championed by our management team. Both of you are here. So tell us a little bit about that.
I'll start. I recently participated in an interview several months ago, and someone asked me what keeps me up at night. And they asked me, and they asked a couple of people in the room, a couple of CDs, and all of those country directors said funding. Funding doesn't keep me up at night. What keeps me up at night is, are we battle ready? Do we have our proverbial ducks in the row, so that when the time comes, and it will come, that someone will hear our stories and will express interest, are we ready with our vision? That and the stories that relate to those visions, are they believable, so that people can invest in us? And when I say people, I mean the private sector. That is key. I love that analogy that Billy mentioned about the ants, and I was telling you guys the other day that there's I think an animated series called Ants.
Yeah.
And there's a segment in there where a couple of the ants go rogue. And one of the generals said, "Oh, it doesn't matter." Oh, one of the lieutenants said, "Oh, it doesn't matter. It's just a couple of ants." And the general says, "Is a couple of ants today, but it's the entire colony tomorrow." And I think in really listening to the responses from our donors, from the private sector, from government, from our partners, I mean, key with that is that they want us to walk the talk. I think if we look at WFP's policies, if we look at the policies of the UN, everything is there in black and white. But what we falter on is the implementation, operationalizing it. And I find it's not that we don't have the skill sets within our organization, but it's driven so much by interest, sometimes personal interest. Oh, I feel that we should do it this way. And I often, I often tell staff that in your implementation, when you feel the need to solve a problem, you should ask yourself two questions. One, is this problem that you have come across, is this the first time WFP has ever faced this problem? I guarantee you that answer is no. And in the off chance the answer is yes, does an organization like WFP expect you to solve it? And I know for a fact that is no. They expect through consensus building for us to come to solutions to problems. And I think is critical in our partnerships, because many times there are actors out there, the private sector, other UN agencies, willing to help, in the position to help, but they don't. Not because they don't want to, but because we simply don't ask. We don't lean on each other's comparative advantage. And that's what we're hoping to do differently. And leaning on comparative advantage when we start talking about investments in private sector, when we speak to private sector, I think one of the things that we need to be quite clear is in our delivery of be honest of what we can deliver and what we're envisioning, and asking their input along the lines of, instead of instructing that, no, it has to be done this way. People want to know that you have a good story. They want to know, is it bankable? Is it investable? And that's key. And I think one of the key issues of WFP Zimbabwe and the key challenges is that we have to all be preaching from the same songbook. And that is the biggest challenge for us. And it's not a criticism for us individually. It is just symptomatic of where we find ourselves. Change is very difficult. And resting in your comfort zone is the easiest thing ever. So, because people want to know, they want to see themselves in the solution that you are crafting in your vision. So I get that. And I want, if I have to close with anything in terms of partnerships, I want the staff in WFP, as well as the other UN agencies that we are going to be working with, that to know that you are in that vision. You are central to that vision. And what we are proposing to do, you are critical to that. You just need to take that leap of faith and work with us on it. And I think that's key. And when people see that, they will invest in you. That's key to really being battle ready, that we solve these solutions, these system-wide solutions in Zimbabwe.
Thanks, Barbara. We're going to come back to being battle ready again soon. But before that, let's just go to you, Sibo. I see your hands up.
Yes, I just wanted to build on what Barbara said, about singing from the same hymn book and everyone being clear on what exactly they're supposed to do. This is why the Building Blocks initiative, which Barbara made reference to, is really key for us as WFP, because it puts us all in a framework of a structured partnership where the roles and responsibilities are clear. It also positions WFP as a development actor. We're joining hands with development actors in the entire social protection arena to build resilience of the communities that we serve. Secondly, it also positions us as a bridge builder. We are bridging that gap between humanitarian assistance and resilience building. So that has been a glaring gap that has existed in our old CSP. So now WFP is positioning itself. As well as being a climate actor, we are responding to variability in terms of climate. And as for the linkage with the private sector, that collaboration with which WFP is going to intensify in the new CSP will enable us to change our image from being a net food distributor to being a catalyst for resilient and market-driven food systems.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah, great points. Yeah. Yes, music to all our ears, to be honest, right? This is where we want to go. This is what we want to hear, and this is how we want to work. Chika, over to you. Have anything to add on in terms of partnerships as well?
Well, Sibo actually covered it all, but she said it all. I was actually thinking the same, but I think with regards to the partnership, like just this morning, we had this meeting with quite a wide variety of stakeholders, from the government, from the youth to the private sector. Yeah. And what we were discussing, I think maybe kind of like leading towards the battle ready part, across the globe, now the mechanization of the agricultural sector is really prominent, no? So like the global market price for commodities are decreasing rapidly. And it's really happening for many commodities, like within a very short period of time. How are we going to accommodate that kind of change? No, building blocks is one of the great opportunity because that really attracts the attention of the private sector, because we need to also think about how effective and efficient the productions and everything else across the value chain can be. No. Having to work with, or not having to work with, but maybe working with the UN agencies one, but having the right private sector is also another key thing. Like we've been recently talking with this particular private sector. They have this one-stop shop of mechanized equipment in Zambia, actually. And they go to the last mile district. That's what they're saying. Building blocks, because of the scale, we can attract that. Yeah. And having that type of partnership is really, really key. It's not like only limited to the private sector, but also like partnership with the youth. Youth is one of the key.
Yeah, that's a key. That's a key component.
That could really produce homegrown solutions for many things that close the current gap in the food systems. No, so building block is something that I'm very much looking forward to, and having the great partnership. Thanks.
We've talked a lot about our external partnerships. I want to talk about us in WFP Zimbabwe, how we work together. And I'm looking again at this side of the divide. Oh no, maybe I start with Sibo this time. How do you think we're doing in terms of our cohesion and working together inside to drive this vision? What do you think we need to do together a bit more?
Thank you for that question. Well, how I look at it, traditionally, we have looked at ourselves as an LSA organization, lean season assistance. We distribute food in and out type of operations. But now we're looking at longer term interventions. How do we position ourselves so that we can deliver programs that are sustainable? That involves creating relationships with people. So it's demanding new skill sets from us. We need to look at how we can better communicate, how we report, how we present ourselves, how we market WFP out there. It requires a change in image, a rebranding of sorts. Like Barbara said, if we're going to be better already, then we need to present ourselves as such. It doesn't matter whether it's going to be the private sector, the government, or whoever. We need to change how we speak about ourselves and about the organization. So I feel like that's a critical starting point for us. We have to rebrand first as WFP staff.
Yeah, Sibo has said it. She has said it. Because, I mean, it's more or less, we're talking of reinventing.
Yes, ourselves.
But I think that's what we need to do.
And we have to understand that that's what we need to do.
Exactly. And I think conversations amongst ourselves is very key. Now, before I continue, let me just go back a little bit to the private sector. We are talking about the private sector. And I think it's related to reinventing ourselves, reskilling ourselves. Because the private sector operates differently from the UN. Very differently. Now, we have to look at ourselves. Do we have what it takes to effectively engage with the private sector? Are we agile enough as WFP to respond to the private sector in terms of us, in terms of the systems that we have in place, in terms of how we package our programs? I think that is very key. And it speaks to what Sibo has said. Do we have the skills? What do we need to do to have those skills? Do we need retraining? Do we need to bring in new skills and all that? But generally the environment as it is now demands that we reinvent ourselves one way or the other. Yeah.
Barbara has been nodding and going, yeah. Music to your ears?
Yeah, it is music to my ears, and I think all of those things are that the Billy have said, Sibu have said, and Chika has said is critical. I'll use a Japanese terminology of Kaizen, and I think this idea of continuous improvement is not only just a reskilling, is a personal and mental acceptance that where I find myself is not enough. And if I'm going to continue, I have to first accept that it's not enough, and secondly, position myself that I become enough. So for me, when I speak about battle ready, that is exactly what I'm talking about. We can talk till we're blue in the face. We can train people, but the propensity is always there to revert back to what is familiar. And we're all human beings, and we do that quite frequently. So I would consider a successful year in 2026 is that the remnant of staff that we have in WFP, I think, are slowly coming to the point where, yes, I am captain of my ship, in the sense that I recognize that something needs to be different, and I'm embracing that. As Sibu and Chika were talking, I was smiling inwardly. Because the greatest opposition is not the private sector. Is the private sector? The private sector is actually saying, "I've been here all along, waiting for you all to come and embrace me, and to speak and present the way that I needed you to speak for me to create value addition." And the government has been saying the same thing for years. I remember when I first came to Zimbabwe in late 2024, there was someone from the I think the chief of staff. I saw a speech that he gave. He said, "I don't want to see another kitchen garden."
Kitchen garden, yes,
and
I remember
right,
that.
Because all Zimbabweans, we do kitchen gardens all over Africa, but that's not going to create impact for Zimbabwe. The fact that I like, and my hobby is growing tomatoes outside of my kitchen. No, we have to do that at scale. So there's if for me, I would consider it successful if we close this year that in Zimbabwe, WFP, that there's a collective embrace. We're moving forward. And for me, given my role in WFP, and given where we have to go, these are the things that I need to do. Because I think most of the skills are already there with us. And the organization, I think we work for a fantastic organization in WFP. They have invested so much in training. Yeah. It's there. It's in our DNA to evolve. But if we want to evolve, and to me, that's what I call battle ready. You read the handwriting on the wall and you say, "This is what I need to do to get there, because I want to get there with everybody. I don't want this boat to leave me behind." Yep.
Thank you, Barbara. Thanks a lot. And then we'll be back again to talk about Battle Ready in the next segment. But with that, we'll take a short break now. You're still watching Bites of Change. Stay with us.
Hello once again. We're still watching Bites of Change and listening to Bites of Change, a WFP Zimbabwe flagship podcast program. We're talking to the decision makers, we're talking to the government. We're still in the middle of trying to unravel the truth around resilience and how we're able to build our nation. We're talking about food security. We're talking to our partners in the private sector, their roles and what they need to do to be able to move this country forward. We're talking to everybody that matters. We're talking to people in the field. We're listening to stories, backstories, and stories that help to shape us as a nation. We're listening to everything that we need to do to be able to move this country forward and make it more food and secure for the future.
China has been a reliable partner to Zimbabwe, with a steadfast commitment to the country's food security and agriculture sustainability. Over the years, we have implemented a variety of initiatives, including agriculture technology transfer, infrastructure development, human resource training, and direct food assistance. Our unwavering support is a testament to the long-standing friendship between our two nations. Since 2002, China has sent over 12 shipments of food assistance to Zimbabwe. Most recently, following the declaration of a national disaster due to an El Nino-induced drought, China responded quickly by sending 3 batches of food assistance, comprising 10,000 tons of rice and wheat. China's support also highlights its firm commitment to global responsibility as the second largest economy of the world and its determination to build a community with a shared future for mankind. China's assistance to Zimbabwe are delivered through both bilateral and multilateral channels, in close collaboration with UN agencies, including the World Food Programme. We have provided critical emergency food assistance, delivering essential supplies to the most food insecure regions across Zimbabwe. I commend our partnership with the WFP, and I hereby express my sincere gratitude for their dedication. Looking forward, China remains committed to strengthening its partnership with the Zimbabwean government and the WFP. Together, we will continue our efforts to address Zimbabwe's food security challenges, strengthen its agricultural resilience, and sustainable agriculture development.
Hello and welcome back. You're still watching Bites of Change, and I'm still having a conversation with Barbara, Billy, Chika, and Sibo, our powerhouse from WFP. Thank you all for such thoughtful conversation. Now we're just going to be doing reflections on what we've been talking about the whole 45, 50 minutes so far. Are you up for it? Yeah, so we're going to get your final reflections on the thoughtful and insightful conversations that we've had now. We've talked a lot about different things, how we're going to be ready, repositioning ourselves, making sure we're partnering right, and being battle ready. So, final reflections, Sibyl, on battle readiness.
Thank you, Ifeoma. It's been quite an interesting discussion. My takeaway from this is that our third generation CSP requires us to do new things and to do things differently. We are not the old WFP, but we're the new WFP moving forward. We are ready to evolve. Our Deputy Country Director likes to use the term to metamorphosize. I think we're well positioned. You spoke earlier about my outfit.
Oh, yeah.
This is not something that we've done in the past, but moving forward, we're branding ourselves. It's like WFP Zimbabwe 3.0 version of us. And I'd like to say, as staff, I think we're ready. And we're stopping at nothing to achieve zero hunger in Zimbabwe.
Fantastic. There we go, Sibo. Yay, Sibo. Okay, Chika, over to you.
Thank you. I think between Barbara and I, we spent like almost an hour talking about Anchor Farmer yesterday, no? Because
we were there.
Oh, exactly. And to me, it's very important because it's important that we need to understand, like we have to understand the vision. No, we need to have the shared vision because me and us programs, we are the one that translate the shared vision into practice or in all the implementations. Yeah. So we need to fully understand, digest, and take that as our own initiatives. Yeah. So in so doing, I think we need to really change our mindset. Yeah. Some of us may be still living in the age of, 10 years ago when we are solely working on food for asset. No? Yeah. The time has been gone long time ago. We need to readjust, and that mindset change has to come like now. Because in the end of the day, like what Billy says, we have to go back to the base, in a straight line, not deviating, because that's where the efficiency comes. So like what Sue will say, we are ready.
Yeah, we are ready,
Battle
Chica.
ready.
Yes, we are battle ready. Billy.
Well, thank you very much. This has been very exciting, really, and to hear from all of you here, your thinking and your perspectives, going forward. I think what is clear, and it is there, the vision. The vision is there. And the beauty of that vision is that it's not a vision that is only within WFP. It's a vision that is also reflected with our key stakeholders, the government. They are bought into the vision because they see the vision speaking to the priorities of NDS2. The vision has also been, accommodated or accepted by, let's say, FAO, because they see their role in that. By IFAD, because they see their role in that. So at the end of the day, I think it's a vision that has been, accepted by all our key partners. Having said that, I think what is important for us, deep reflection.
Introspection.
Introspection. I love that word, introspection. Because we need to internalize that vision as individuals, as program officers, as foot soldiers, if I may use that word, but as a collective, as WFP Zimbabwe. Because at the end of the day, that's what will define WFP Zimbabwe going forward. It's that vision. So my call is to us, to our colleagues, to talk amongst ourselves. Where we are not clear, let's converge, let's talk about it. Because at the end of the day, 4 years from now, at the end of the CSP, we will have to reflect and really grade ourselves, if I may use that word, on how we've performed to achieve what we wanted to achieve, what we plan to achieve. So I think it's so important that we have that conversation amongst ourselves.
Especially since we're going to the board in November, we have to be ready and speak with one voice as well and make sure we all understand what the vision is.
Exactly.
Yeah. Thanks, Billy. Thank you very much. Barbara.
I think they've said a lot.
Yes, they have.
And it is the proverbial music to my ears. But I think let's not be too hard on each other and ourselves. I will say that one thing I've learned is that this is within us and it's within the WFP DNA, and we have been doing it. I'll take you back to the first couple of lines that you mentioned about doers. WFP has been doing resilience and for years, layering in resilience quite seamlessly and strategically in our humanitarian assistance. Like all good doers, we find it extremely difficult to talk about. We were like, it's what we do. If we're providing assistance and a road needs to be built, we put capital there to build it. If trucks need to be bought, we buy capital to move food and warehouses and so on and so forth. What we're now being called upon, the minor adjustments, is let's do that in a way that we can optimize and create maximum impact. And this speaks to our vision, but it also speaks to how we partner with government. And I want to end on that in the sense that we have to not only engage the private sector, but we engage government and cultivate and protect relationships with government that promote, in Zimbabwe case, the National Development Plan too, all the pillars that exist there. Because it is our roadmap. It's our guiding light for what the government envisions for Zimbabwe, and I think that is critical. A lot of the agencies, like the Zimbabwe Investment Development Agency, signing an MOU with them where their role is to facilitate investment in Zimbabwe and to smooth the ease of entry for investors coming in Zimbabwe. One of the proactive steps that WFP has taken with them is to say, your goal is to increase investment, the investment potential for Zimbabwe, and you'll be measured at the end of your term each year with how much you have done that. We acknowledge that there may be some degree of angst in asking for things or demanding certain things for investors coming in to Zimbabwe. What we're saying, let the UN do that. Because many of these investors may be coming from countries where we are represented. Let us be in on those strategic conversations to help guide some of the investment dollars to where some of the gaps are in Zimbabwe. Mind you, this is not along the lines of corporate social responsibility, but if you have an investor coming in to do business in Zimbabwe and then also to market that business in Zimbabwe, we want to make it clear that the people of Zimbabwe, the country of Zimbabwe, is your bottom line. And if you want to grow your investment, you have to invest in that bottom line. And that's what we're doing, is re-engaging the government agencies that we've always had a partner with and positioning ourselves in such a way that we can play a convening role in driving investments and interest in the country. I think what we're doing with youth,
very critical.
In Africa is very critical.
Very.
And when we talked initially in the first segment about how we do business, we talked about our 3 pillars, but we also forgot to mention that within those 3 pillars, there are many cross-cutting issues that success will be weaving those in. And those cross-cutting issue plays into WFP's mandate of SDG 2, Zero Hunger, and also partnerships, but they're also other multiplier effects of the SDG, like youth, like the environment, like health. How can we weave those issues, and nutrition? How can we weave those issues into, yes, we have our building blocks, but at the end of the day, the building block isn't just to contribute in scale to the GDP of Zimbabwe, or to have Zimbabwe become a breadbasket of Southern Africa. Is also to increase food security. And it also is to increase the nutrition score to somewhat address the triple burden of micronutrient deficiency, obesity, and stunting in Zimbabwe. So everything, when we speak about being battle ready, every initiative, every partnership that we cultivate seeks to not only solve gaps, eliminate overlap, but it also seeks to solve other problems, to optimize. So we're looking at it from a perspective of every dollar spent. At the end of the day, we should be able to look at that spent dollar and said, yes, it contributed to solving food insecurity, but it also contributed to other things. We want to create the multiplier effect. And I think when we hit that sweet spot, we will be battle ready. And we will definitely be addressing some of the concerns and criticisms that we as the UN may have had in the past, that we need to be less linear and more systems-based with our focus.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's
Thank
battle
you, all
ready.
of you. Yeah. Thanks, everyone here. Okay, thank you. We're running out of time now for real, so I'll just have to thank all of you. I know we have more energy to talk about a lot more of these things. Thank you very much for highlighting what WFP 3.0, our CSP, is talking about, being battle ready, making sure we're in the right spaces, making sure that we're actually working with the right partners to create the right scale of impact. And that's what we want to do. Thank you, Barbara. Thank you, Billy. Thank you, Chika. Thank you, Sibo, the powerhouse from WFP, for a wonderful, wonderful episode today. If you want to watch more of this or you need any information on the Bites of Change, please look at the information below. Call us, WhatsApp us, check us out on our social media handle. Anything you need, just get in touch with us and continue to watch Bites of Change.
Thank you for listening to and watching Bites of Change, a WFP Zimbabwe podcast series. I know you had a great time listening to this and watching it as well. We hope you tune in next time. And before the next episode, if you need to get in touch with us, please look at the numbers on the screen and the email address as well. If you have any feedback for us and you want us to discuss anything else, do get in touch with us. We're always here to listen, just like we're always here to serve. Join us next time. Thank you.